We all know how it feels to forget something important at home, right? It's frustrating, it's annoying, and it can totally throw off our day. But what happens when you go back home to retrieve that forgotten item and catch your fiancé doing something you can't believe? Well, that's exactly what happened to this man. Nathan and his fiancée Linda lived together in a small but cozy apartment on the edge of the city. The couple didn't have a lot of money, but they didn't mind as long as they had each other. The two had met while they had been at college. Nathan had been studying business while Linda had majored in art. With these two completely juxtaposing subjects, it was unlikely that the two would meet, as Nathan was more practically minded while Linda was more creative. However, the two had met when Nathan had joined a still life art class on the campus as a dare. The young man had attended with all intentions of making fun of the class, but after spotting Linda there, he became head over heels for her. As soon as he laid eyes on her, wanting to get to know her better, Nathan ended up completing the art class, often asking Linda for help and 2 pointers. The two grew close during their time in the class together, until Nathan finally built up the courage to ask Linda out on a date. The young woman had said yes immediately, and the two were soon a couple. After graduating college, Nathan went to work in a well-respected company. He was starting off in the lower regions of the business, but he hoped that with time, he would be able to climb his way up the corporate ladder. Meanwhile, Linda stayed at home working on her art. She hoped to one day sell it. Nathan supported Linda in her endeavors as he thought that she was an incredibly talented artist who would definitely make it. He wanted to encourage her to follow her passions and to do something that she loved as a job. And while he wasn't the biggest fan of her still life pieces involving naked men, he trusted her to keep things professional and to simply find the art within which he was drawing. For all intents and purposes, Nathan and Linda were an incredibly happy couple. At least, that was what Nathan thought anyway. But then he discovered something that changed his world forever. It was a regular Wednesday morning. Nathan was getting ready for work at the company. It was an incredibly important day for him, as he was giving an important presentation to some of the company's higher-ups, and he wanted to impress them, so they might recommend him for a promotion. The only problem was that his alarm hadn't gone off that morning. Nathan ended up waking up late because of this, meaning that he was rushing to get ready and to leave the house so that he could get to work on time. It wasn't until the young man was driving to work that he realized that he had left a crucial document back at his home. It was one that he desperately needed in order to bring his entire presentation together. There was simply no way that he couldn't go back and get it. Groaning as he knew that turning around would make him late for work, Nathan tried to get back to his home as quickly as possible. Perhaps if he was lucky, he would be able to get the document and still make it to work on time. If he didn't hit much traffic, Nathan sped back to his home as quickly as possible, managing to make good time. However, when he made it back to his house, he noticed something very strange. Sitting on the driveway was his wife's car. But right behind it was a car that he had never seen before. It was a fairly normal car, but the sight of it put Nathan on edge. What was it doing in his driveway? Was it a friend of Linda's? But if so, why were they visiting her so early in the morning, wanting to know the answers to his questions, and remembering that he was on quite a time-sensitive errand? Nathan got out of his car and rushed into the house. The first thing that the young man did was look for the document that he needed. It was what he needed the most, and he wanted to get it and quickly get on his way to work. However, as he searched the living room and kitchen, Nathan couldn't help but notice that Linda wasn't anywhere to be seen, nor was the mystery person whose car was parked in his driveway. It was possible that the car belonged to a neighbor, and that they had simply parked on his driveway as there wasn't any other place to go. But Nathan felt as if something was off. He continued to search through the downstairs part of the house, keeping an eye out for his document and his wife. However, it was when the young man decided to see if he could find his missing paperwork upstairs that things took a turn for the worse. Nathan had started climbing up the stairs when he suddenly started hearing some strange noises. The further he got upstairs, the more easily he was able to make out that the sounds were coming from the bedroom. At first, he thought it was just his fiancée watching TV or listening to music. It wouldn't be the first time that Nathan had found Linda huddled up in bed watching her favorite film with a bag of popcorn. The young man found it incredibly cute and loved to see his fiancée happy. But as he got closer to the room, He was able to make out some very distinct noises, feeling his blood begin to turn to ice in his veins. Nathan slowly approached his bedroom door and pushed it open, but what he saw devastated him. His fiancée was in bed with another man. As soon as Linda and the strange men noticed Nathan, they jumped up out of the bed. Linda immediately began to try and tell Nathan that it wasn't what it looked like. But Nathan didn't say a word. Instead, he simply walked in, grabbed the document off his side table, and left. Linda tried to talk to him the entire time, but he simply ignored her. A couple of days later, Linda was sitting at home, worried she had been trying to reach Nathan through whatever means she could, but he simply wasn't answering any of her calls or responding to any of her text messages. The young woman was beside herself with worry. She didn't know if anything had happened to her fiancé, and she knew she had a lot of explaining to do. However, as she sat at the kitchen table calling Nathan for the 10th time that morning, she suddenly heard the mailman the young woman went to collect the mail. But when she did, she saw something that brought her dread. There was a large brown envelope with her name on it. Linda opened the envelope up and began to cry when she saw the divorce papers inside of it. Nathan hadn't spoken to her, but he didn't need to, as he was clearly wanting a divorce. Linda desperately wanted to talk with Nathan, but it was too late. There was nothing that the young man wanted to hear from her. He made up his mind, and he will be leaving the woman who had betrayed him in such a horrible way. The divorce didn't take long to go through. Because Linda had been the one who had cheated, Nathan hadn't needed to give her anything in the settlement. And while this might be a win, for some, Nathan felt as if he had truly lost as he no longer had the woman he loved by his side. It would take a while, but hopefully he would be able to find someone he trusted again in the future. And that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this story and learned something new. Remember to always trust your instincts and never settle for anything less than what you deserve. And sometimes it's better to let people go rather than keeping them around to hurt you.